我哋時間已經過。
Well, we've passed the appointed hour. We have a quorum. Shall we invite the officials into the room? Item 1, election chairman. This is a joint meeting of two panels. In theory, either one of the chairmen will chair the meeting, and I have agreed with Ms. Chen Yuen-han, and she asked me to be the chairman of this meeting, so I'll chair today's meeting. Okay? Is it agreeable to you? Do we need to go through an election process? Okay, let's have an election then. Mr. Fung-kwok, I agree. I agree to be nominated. Okay, seconded by Ms. Cheng. No objection, okay. We have not completed the process. Ms. Chen can disagree. I agree, I do agree. Okay, I chair the meeting then. Item 2. Concerted efforts to assist street sleepers. We have the Assistant Director of Social Welfare, Mr. Fung-kwok, the Assistant Director of Home Affairs Department, Ms. Eric Hui, and Ms. Betty Ho, District Officer of Home Affairs of Yao Ching-mong District Office. The administration, please. With regard to support given to the street sleepers, at the welfare panel meeting on the 10th of June, we had already given a detailed briefing to the panel on helping the street sleepers. In today's paper, we have highlighted the two most important kinds of service in paragraphs 2 and 3. And starting from 2004, the administration has provided subvention to 3 NGOs. There are 3 teams providing day and late night outreaching visits as well as emergency support. Yes, please go on. Please go on. Well, I see Ms. Chen Yuen-han raising her hand. And support in terms of living costs, referrals, and rent deposits, so on and so forth, also provided. This is to help the street sleepers to leave the streets. We also provide subvention to Society for Community Organization to run a care and support networking team, which aims at helping street sleepers and other vulnerable groups to reintegrate into society. 138 street sleepers in 2012-13 quit street sleeping. As at 30th June 2013, the number of registered street sleepers in our register was 648. The SWD also subvents NGOs to operate 5 urban hostels and 2 emergency shelters, providing 202 accommodation places. In 2012-13, the average utilization rate was 81.1%. Other NGOs also provide 7 hostels on a self-financing basis, providing 397 places for overnight or temporary accommodation for street sleepers. The 65 integrated family service centers are ready to help NGOs, to help street sleepers and other people in need. The social workers who provide support in terms of upon need in respect of housing and also other aspects. As for the greening works on the Perry Street flyover, perhaps the HAD can speak on that. Ms. Ho, please. Thank you, Chairman. As for the proposed works, the background is already listed in the paper. At the end of May, the LegCo had a case conference, and I was present at that meeting, and I explained to members the progress of work. The members present gave certain views, and then afterwards we have stepped up our efforts with regard to helping the street sleepers. Some of them are ethnic minorities, and we've provided support to them. We've got an NGO which provides help to ethnic minorities, in particular the Nepalese local leaders also participated to provide assistance to these street sleepers. The administration, other officials, no more to add, okay? Some documents have been given to members. One is just introduced by the administration. There is another paper provided by the Secretariat. And then there is also the paper by the so-called, and also a letter from the Prosperous Garden. And then two other relevant papers. Paper provided by the administration for the meeting of the panel on welfare services on 10th of June 2013, and letter dated 18th of June 2013 from Dr. Kenneth Chan on matters relating to street sleepers concerning home affairs, and also the administration's reply to Mr. Chan's letter. A show of hands, please, if you want to ask questions. Ann Chang, Yu Siwing, Kenneth Chan, Leung Kok-hong. Well, I read out the names. Chen Yuen-han, Ann Chang, Kenneth Chan, Helena Wong, Leung Kok-hong. Who else? Okay. If no other people are in the line, let us have the first round 5 minutes each. Fernando Chow.
Oh, he walked out. Chen Yuen-han. Thank you, Chairman. Now, today's meeting now follows discussions by the Welfare Services Panel on this issue with deputations. Now, it followed upon what happened in Yau Ma Tei. Now, the street sleepers under the flyover at Yau Ma Tei aroused public concern. Is there a policy to help street sleepers in Hong Kong? It seems the last discussion gives us impression that it's not being dealt with. The panel did not observe things being done. So our colleagues and some of the groups speaking out want to have a discussion together with the Home Affairs panel. It's not just a local issue. There are street sleepers issues. Now, the Yau Ma Tei flyover, well, there are over 10 street sleepers there since our last complaint. Efforts have been made. Now, some people couldn't move into public housing. Maybe they didn't have money. Maybe it's a question of living habits. In that case, is there a policy by the government for street sleepers to deal with the issue? Now, the complaint is about Yau Ma Tei, but the same kinds of issue applies to other, are also present in other districts. Now, if you have a way to resolve the issue at Yau Ma Tei, the matter might have stopped there, but the problem is you chase them away and then they come back tomorrow. So at different district councils, such cases have arisen, now you discuss it, and then you don't care what happens. And then the residents object, and the district council members are caught in the middle. So I would like to ask the administration, how do you resolve these issues caused by street sleepers in the community? The administration? Mr. Fung? Or is it? Thank you, Chairman. Now, at the last meeting, it's been mentioned that in terms of welfare policy, we try to work through services provided by social workers so that these people will leave street sleeping. We have outreach service, we have casework, and we provide information to the street sleepers that such services are available. And if there is need for relocation or for moving into public housing, then each integrated service team has the resources to help them to pay the rents and deposits. And same at social welfare department, we look at the case concern. If the person is on CSSA, there can be discretion to pay, help them pay the deposit. Now, if there are social factors or health factors, then the social welfare worker will recommend compassionate rehousing. So we offer a whole person care approach. Now, that's a reply one would expect from SWD, but the problem is not resolved. Now, what's your role in each district? Now, the SWD recommends 3 NGOs. They provide these care services, but they don't solve the problem. Now, the Yamate case is typical. The chairman and I went to have a visit. Now, the government dealt with that, but afterwards they are still there. Mr. Hui? Thank you, Chairman. Now, actually, at the district offices, the district officers work with other departments, for instance, the SWD, and we do the coordination in the district. Next, Ann Chang. Thank you, Chairman. Now, the Yamate case, now, if we remember, there are also street sleeper problem in Shamshui-po. Now, in Yamate, Shamshui-po, Chimsha-chui, and Kowloon City, actually there are quite a number of street sleepers. Now, to my knowledge, at Yamate and Shamshui-po, there are homes for street sleepers. Now, for what reasons the street sleepers don't go there? Now, they have beds offered at these centers. There are fans, there are TV, and it's open at 6 in the evening to 9 in the next morning. And I went for a visit. It's quite clean. Why don't they go there? Maybe it's already filled up. I asked about Shamshui-po. They say it's not that full. Now, why is it that they don't go there? I don't know whether the administration studied that. Mr. Fung? I thank Ms. Chang for her question. Now, actually, street sleepers are a complicated issue. Now, we looked at the figures. You see those figures. At those hostels, the occupancy rate is about 81%. It was lower a few years ago. Now, some of the street sleepers have their own living habits. They have different reasons for street sleeping. There are homes for street sleepers in the districts, but the street sleepers have gotten used to live in a certain place. They get certain things there, or they do certain things they want to do there. Now, if they go to a different place, they may not be used to it, and they might choose to go back to the place where they feel that they are most accustomed to. Now, through the social workers, we asked why they don't go there, why they don't make use of the service. Now, some of them have mental problems. Now, in 2012 at LegCo, you gave us good suggestions, and we went with the mental health integrated service teams. We liaised with them, and these street sleepers, if they do have mental problems, they have to accept referrals by these teams. So there's a joint effort to help them. Now, each street sleeper can make his own choice. Some do not like the rules of hostels. Some don't like to live with others. And we provide counseling to try to help them to get used to a new environment. And our social worker teams will follow up each street sleeper for a certain period of time, so that when they move into a hostel, they can adjust better. Now, Chairman, I think the administration should pay heed. Now, we received communications or complaints from local residents. Some felt that the street sleepers didn't go to the homes for street sleepers, or maybe it's mental problems or other causes, and the residents said that at the Ferry Street flyover there have been many syringes found nearby. It affects the residents nearby, and there are children there. So have you paid attention to this issue? You should inform the relevant departments. Of course, everyone has accommodation, but the problem is they do not live in the accommodation when they have the choice, and they use those locations for certain purposes, and they affect the residents, and that's not right. Next, Dr. Kenneth Chen. We went together once to Ferry Street to visit the street sleepers. Now, at the council meeting last week, Michael Tan asked a question, and Mr. Zhang answered. He said that there is money to help these people, whereas there are public housing shortages. Now there are supposed to be arrangements to help these street sleepers. Now, if it's that successful, then we won't have the problems. Now, when we met with the other district councils, that they have same kind of problem. Now, this is due to gradual worsening of the economic situation. Now, you don't help the people who live in subdivided units, so they are forced to live on the streets. Now, the street sleepers move from one flyover to another. Now, the drug problem and the hygiene problems are carried over to another district. Now, when I sat in the Welfare Services panel, there were over 500 street sleepers in your computer system, and now there are over 600, so the situation is worsening. So why do we raise this issue for discussion? Now, it's not just routine. Now, we have spoken for the organized complaining organizations. Is that the end of it? No. We should find a better way. We shouldn't just say we have greening for the under the flyover, and then more people complain. So can we have a forward-looking system and not just verbal assurance? Anyone can answer? Mr. Fung? Or is it Mr. Hui? Now, on Ms. Chen's numbers, now in the past few years, there have been fluctuations in the number of street sweepers. You are right. It depends on external factors, for instance, the economic situation, and other factors, employment situation. And we saw that last time, at the end of April, there were 642, and now 648, an increase of 6. But the new cases are decreasing. It's just that what we call the repeat street sweepers have increased. So that's the reason for the rise. So we hope that the service teams can do more work to step up the effort in this regard. Now, apart from the integrated service teams for street sweepers, there are also welfare agencies at the district level, those of a religious background, especially in Yamate. Those 10 are ethnic minorities. The Salvation Army integrated service team is working with those who are experienced in helping ethnic minorities. So they're working with these organizations to resolve the issue. So the HAD side, anything to add? And as I said earlier, as we understand right now, the support service for street sweepers is done by the SWD in association with NGOs, and the district officers and the districts very often do the coordination work. Now, the coordination between the two departments is very important, right? Now, we have to meet with the district's request to clear certain areas or to clean up certain areas. So do they get an understanding from the SWD first, or is it that the case is only followed up after complaint? How do the departments coordinate? Any can answer? Now, concerning the Yamate case, let me supplement. It doesn't represent the whole of Hong Kong. Now, a couple of members mentioned just now that the street sweeper issue in our district has been a long-standing issue. It's not just at the Ferry Street flyover. There are several locations that have the same problem.
And the district council has been paying attention to that, and this is a regular item on the agenda of the DMC. We have been working very closely with the SWD in respect of giving support to the street sweepers. As for the street sweepers underneath Ferry Street flyover, when the district council endorsed the proposal to green the flyover, the SWD and HAD were asked to follow up the street sweepers. As said by the two gentlemen before me, each sleeper has a different story, and we cannot deal with the street sweepers just by one approach. In terms of coordination, we are doing coordination every day. We are discussing how to deal with the problem, but it is not easy to solve all the problems. Whenever there is an incident, we learn the lessons and will do more so as to solve the problem. I think members are interested in listening to the answer, therefore I've given you some extra time. Next, Yu Si-wing. In December 2012, some NGOs said that there were 1,200, and SWD say 500 odd, and this time the SWD says 600 odd. There are different numbers. If the numbers are different, there may be problems in dealing with the street sleepers. We've seen there are also more and more foreigners who have become street sleepers, said the speaker. I want to know the trend. I don't know whether these foreigners receive any CSSA. If they do not receive any CSSA, how can you help these foreigners who are street sleepers? As for Para 8, they said that there were 6 street sleepers underneath the flyover ferry street. They are non-Chinese. Can there be special ways to deal with them instead of waiting for members to write letters and make complaints? The AD. According to the department, we have a data bank or database. We have 3 integrated teams subvented. We have altogether 4 subvented teams. They contact the street sleepers and then they punch in the information. The numbers fluctuate. If the street sleepers are staying at that place for a certain period of time, then they will be put on the register. And if they have been away from the streets, they will be deleted from the register. We update the number every month. Different groups have different numbers. We have been adopting this method to collect data over so many years, and we think our system is accurate. Whether there is any room for improvement? Well, we're happy to talk to the relevant institutions to improve our system so that we can more accurately gauge the data of street sleepers with an open attitude. As for non-Chinese street sleepers, they are ethnic minorities mainly. Our understanding is this. According, if you're talking about Fung-kwok, in fact, these street sleepers have been receiving CSSA. About 60% of street sleepers are CSSA recipients, i.e. 40% are not. These ethnic minorities are permanent residents, though they are non-Chinese, and that's why we call them non-Chinese Hong Kong residents. As for the several gentlemen over there, the district officer, the Salvation Army, and other welfare institutions have been talking to them, and there has been some progress in the past 2 months. The total number has been reduced from 16 to 6. For one reason or another, these 6 gentlemen did not accept our service. In answering Ms. Cheng's question, I said that they preferred a certain lifestyle. We tried to persuade them. We tried to make arrangements for them. We even asked groups of or ethnic minority NGOs to persuade them. If a street sleeper is not violent or aggressive and he doesn't breach the law, then what we can do is by persuasion, give them counseling so that we can help them so that we can help them to understand their own situation, and they can accept our service and quit street sleeping. I don't know whether the district officer has anything to add. Dr. Fernando Cheung. I visited the street sleepers beneath the Ferry Street flyover. The chairman also went there. Their complaint was as follows. Now, the NGOs have been providing service to the street sleepers. The street sleepers were driven away, water was sprayed, and then street sleepers were woken up by somebody, so the street sleepers couldn't sleep. And underneath the flyover, there will be greening works so as to drive away the street sleepers. The works are to drive away the street sleepers. So the objective is to drive them away, eradicate them. I really don't understand whether the administration has a policy for street sleepers or a non-friendly policy towards street sleepers. What is the understanding of the administration towards the street sleeper problem? Now you claim that you have been helping them. You provide them with temporary shelter. You've provided adequate hostel space, and the usage rate of the hostels is only 80%. It seems that street sleeping is their preference, and they are also assisted by CSSA. Is it really the case? What is the administration's understanding of the problem, and what is the government's policy? Is there a policy document, or is there a non-friendly policy document? Mr. Fung. I will speak from the social welfare perspective. We don't believe we are not friendly. As I said, over the years, we have the integrated teams. We also have the so-called, which is subvented by us. We also subvented some hostels. In 2010, we've added and we have the integrated mental health center, and the center also helps the street sleepers who have mental problems. So we're doing our best by the social work approach through counseling, through persuasion. We help them to quit street sleeping. As far as welfare policy is concerned, I don't believe we are not friendly. If that is the case, why 7 departments joined hands to target at least a dozen or so street sleepers? Can you explain that? Who is to answer the question? Who is willing to answer the question? Now, concerning the situation under the flyover in Ferry Street, well, we don't only have street sleepers beneath Ferry Street flyover. Say at the cultural center at the back of Kwun Chung Street, or rather at another place, there are street sleepers. The district council has been paying continuous attention to the street sleepers. Apart from looking at the problem from the perspective of the residents, they also look at the problem from the perspective of street sleepers in terms of traffic safety, in terms of dust, in terms of air pollution. The situation is not good, and it's also very risky for the street sleepers to stay there because they just run across the street. I've met with the street sleepers. They told me, I met with the street sleepers. They told me that they didn't intend to stay there forever. The district council is not trying to green the place in order to drive the street sleepers away. The district council does care for them. Several government departments participated in street management tasks. The FEHD needs to clean the streets. Now the complainants may therefore complain that they spray the FGHD spray water. But last week, the FGHD did clean the streets last week, and we knew that if the belongings of the street sweepers got wet, it would be inconvenient for them. So we had already put up notices to inform them there would be street cleaning. Some residents are complaining about rodent and mosquito infestation over that place. And the police also conducted patrolling because people complain about law and order. And we talked to the police, we talked to the FEHD, and they were aware of the situation and they handled the situation accordingly. Now, Lau Kwa-hong, the government has a policy. In the year 2004, the administration decided to gradually close medium and small size centers for the singletons. So in 2007, 2009, they closed the centers managed by the Home Affairs Department. These bed space apartments were closed. The bed space apartments were closed. People cannot sleep in bed space apartments. But you can say they can go to Clover Court, but you look at the conditions. And you have to go out during the day. You're driven away during daytime. That's a wrong assessment of the situation. You thought, probably like Mr. Chiang, that Hong Kong will never see poverty. But in fact, we had the financial tsunami in 2008. I talked to Ma Fung-kwok and also Chung Tak-sing. So, could you build more hostels, or should you provide more user-friendly hostels? You say, so far so good. But there is a difference, 600 or so, or 1,200, said by some NGOs. If you can give a bigger budget, they will have more resources to find out more clients. You just turn your eyes away. So you just ignore the problem. You just narrow down the definition and say, oh, the problem is solved. Well, you really need a detailed paper for us, a detailed document for us. What is the attitude of this city towards street sweepers? I play football with them. If you help the street sweepers, give them a lift at a particular juncture, it helps you help his whole life. They really don't want to go home. They have been loitering for a very long time. If you can do something, you may help him for the rest of his life.
Now, your approach clearly is not really helpful at all. You just ignore the problem. Are you interested in reopening the bed space apartments that cost $330 or $430? Look at Heiwa House and Kowa House. Did you go and visit them? Some people couldn't find work, or they wanted to stay near where they lived. Now, those hostels were there for a reason. They were areas that are densely populated and where it's easy to find casual work, and the poor residents can live there. Now, I lived at a bed space apartment too, because it's easy to work in that area, for me to go to work in that area. So the SWT has to meet with the district office to find out what's the real problem, what are the real difficulties, if you look at it from that perspective. Anyone from the administration? Chairman, regarding the Singleton hostel scheme, at that time, as I understood it, because of the implementation, the bed space apartment ordinance, so it wasn't really specifically targeting the street sleepers. Now, it's true that starting in 2005, the government decided that within 4 years there would be a gradual effort. Now, there were 26 small or medium-sized hospitals, and that was completed in March 2009. So the 26 odd hostels were returned to the landlords. For instance, the housing association. So for singletons, it should be the SWT and the housing department which should help them. Next, Dr. Helena Wong. Just now, Miss Ann Chang said that at Ferry Street, some residents said that some of the street sleepers were drug addicts. They were syringes. Now, I would like to ask the SWT that some staff find that the street sleepers were shooting heroin, or is it that there were methadone clinics nearby? So some addicts maybe frequent that area, but are they indeed the street sleepers there? Otherwise, some district councillors said that it's the street sleepers and they just want to get rid of them. So can the SW tell us how many of the street sleepers there are drug addicts? If they are not, then the problem should be made clear. It's the methadone clinic and not the street sleepers. Now, if you visited them, do you know why they slept on streets? Now, previously, just now we had a meeting on asylum seekers and torture claimants. Now they are in Hong Kong waiting for assessment to see whether they are eligible. The procedure takes several years, and they had only $1,200 to spend on accommodation. There's someone called Mike. That's not his real name. He lived under Ferry Street flyover for 3 years. Now he is not a drug addict, I believe. Now he now has to move because of what you're doing. He couldn't find accommodation for $1,200, so he has to move to a flyover that's more distant. So he would go to another flyover under another district council. So the street sleeper issue is not resolved, because under your policy you leave some people out in the cold. So I support Dr. Fernando Cheung. You should have a comprehensive policy for street sleepers. Until you are able to take care of these people who drop through the cracks, you should let these people sleep under flyovers if they are still if they maintain a basically clean environment. Now, at some locations, they try to make the level, the ground level uneven or sloping so that people can't sleep there. Now, of course, we hope eventually they can all move into street sleepers' homes, but you are going to have some people who don't want to move in, but do you leave them any space at all? Do you want to eradicate them totally? Now, Mr. Fung, now at the end of June, we suspect that 25% of the street sleepers are drug abusers. Now, of course, some of them may not use syringes. We do not have the breakdown. Now, for the cases of those underneath flyovers, now, according to the information available to me, now, of those who are still staying there, those who claim to be drug users, DD users, there are 3 of them. Now, one of them went to a drug treatment center. One of those that left went to a drug treatment center. Now, I cannot use today's figures to make a general statement, but looking at the end of June figure, I'm just telling you what's the picture at that time. I can't say that this is applicable generally, but this provides a simple indication. As social workers just try their best to help them to rid of themselves of the drug habit and to leave street sleeping. Now, on 10th of June, we met with some deputations and some street sleepers. Now, of course, I agree with my colleagues. There's no comprehensive policy on street sleepers. Now, some groups made reports that it's all due to high rents and low-paying casual work, and on the now it said that at Ferry Street, out of 16, 8 were assisted, 2 left on their own. Now, it said that out of the 6, 5 were not non-Chinese. Now, I want to understand about those 2. Are you still following up on them? If they leave, would the problem be considered as resolved? Now, on a comprehensive review of the policy, I think that should be done by the administration. It involves the HAD, FEHD, HAD. Now, if you do not have a comprehensive policy, now, given the employment situation, we are always going to have a street sleepers issue. Now, you gave us some figures, but will you embark on such a policy? Mr. Fung? Now, on those who left on their own, now, as we understand it, they claim to be CSSA recipients, and they refuse our service. And in the period May to June, we did not find them in our visit, so we concluded they must have left on their own because we didn't find any of their possessions. But I wouldn't go further into details. Any follow-up, Pu Siu-ping? If not, Wu Chi-wai. Thank you, Chairman. Now, there are 2 levels to the issue. Firstly, has the government done less than enough? Now, firstly, of the 600-odd cases, do you have a breakdown on the circumstances under which they continue to be street sleepers. Maybe they don't have place to live, they can't find accommodation, or they are not eligible for certain types of welfare, or they choose such a lifestyle because they find the environment suitable to them. Now, unless you have a breakdown, we cannot focus on the issue. Secondly, even with a policy, now once we have a policy, then we can discuss whether the existing policy on street sleepers are helpful to them to resolve their problems in daily life. Now, and thirdly, if for individual reasons they want to live in that way, and they choose not to live in homes for street sleepers or to move to public housing, now can our community accommodate their style of living? Now, on talking about a comprehensive street sleeper policy, I hope the discussion would not result in the total eradication of street sleepers as is happening in some districts, and that is already happening in parks. The parks close at certain hours, or there are certain devices on the bench that make it uncomfortable for anyone to try to sleep on the bench. Now, following the bursting of the financial bubble in Japan, many people slept on the streets, but the community had continued to be supportive and accommodating. Now, how about Hong Kong? Now, is it their own preference, or do we provide insufficient resources? The document has not provided an adequate answer.
The administration has to categorize the street sleepers and see if you can change your policy to help these street sleepers. Mr. Fung. From the welfare perspective, according to our database or register, we do have some analyses, say age profile, ratio, the registration, their work, whether they are CSSA recipients. We do have such information, but the information is basically for planning of welfare services. Different streets, or rather different districts, have different situation. Our district social welfare officer plans the provision of service accordingly, and the SWD work with NGOs and also self-financing organizations and subvented organizations to help the street sleepers. Mr. Wu asks about a policy outside the welfare perspective. Well, I'm unable to answer that question. Chairman, my question is whether the SWD can make use of the database and conduct an analysis on the reasons for street sleepers to staying in the streets and tell us such information. Yes, that can be done. That is, or rather the data obtained at different periods. And there are many factors affecting the situation. Say, it depends on the overall economic situation, it depends on the labor market situation, and there are also other external factors that are interacting with each other. And you've made a good point, say, the mental situation of the street sleepers. But we have to handle with care. We rely on the reporting by the street sleepers. And the social workers also conduct assessment. Now, we provide welfare service basing on the data. If members find the analysis useful, we can provide information to the member. I hope your answer can be more brief and precise. Mr. Him. Thank you, Chairman. I joined the District Council in 1991. The first issue is the issue on street sleepers. Now in Western District, there is the St. Barnabas Center, or rather St. Barnabas Center, which provides assistance to street sleepers. Now some members mention singletons together with street sleepers. In fact, there are two categories of people. The street sleepers prefer to sleep in the streets for one reason or another. Even if you provide them with accommodation, they don't take it. I think the government has to consider its overall policy. The government has to provide counseling. The government has to support NGOs and volunteer groups to care for the street sleepers. I hope the SWD can do more. Now the so-called said that the district councils were cold-blooded. I find that description very offensive. The district councils received complaints from the residents, and they had to consider how the living conditions of the community could be improved. There is a need to find a suitable balance. There should be a reasonable arrangement. There is a need to find a solution, say, to the problem at Ferry Street. We have seen the complaints of the owners' corporations. District councillors have to face these complaints. Now the Yao Jimong deal is here. You team up with several government departments to deal with this problem. Do you really have a way to make a better arrangement for this? It's not so easy as to drive them away. You really need to, say, provide counseling to them, persuade them, and at the same time to improve the. You also need to improve the environment. Can you provide us with more information on this case? Ms. Ho, concerning Ferry Street. Thank you, Mr. Yip. The Yao Jimong District Council and its members do care for the street sleepers in Ferry Street. On the 21st of June, Yao Jimong District Councillors met with representatives of the so-called and the street sleepers to listen to the concerns of these people. They are not on the opposite or opposing ends. And we've heard the views of members of the district council. Now we're dealing with humans. And each street sleeper has his own story. And we have done something for them. In fact, 2 weeks ago, we formed a team, including the SWD, the Salvation Army, and also the 3 NGOs who worked with ethnic minorities. We have social workers visiting the street sleepers every day. If they really want to find, if the street sleepers want to find a way out, they can ask the social workers, because social workers do visit them every day. And in Yaochim Mong district, there is a hostel for the street sleepers. It is near to the flyover. We asked the Salvation Army, it's run by the Salvation Army, the hostel is run by a Salvation Army, if anyone, if there is any space. Now, if any of the street sleepers want to go to that hostel, there is space available. But I agree with Ms. Yip. And different street sleepers have a different story. Even if you provide an accommodation for them, for any one of them, he or she may not accept the offer. Last weekend, we got some Nepalese who visited the street sleepers. And then Chinese street sleeper has already accepted our proposal, and the 5 non-Chinese are now considering various arrangements. I think maybe 2 or 3 will take up some other offers. Upon the invitation, receiving the invitation of Ms. Chen Yuen-han together with several members, I went with several members to Ferry Street and try to understand the situation, but it's really regrettable that the report was far from the truth. One said that it was a rare occasion that we visit them, and another reported that we asked them why they didn't go to Tin Shui Wai. I just asked them whether they had considered moving away from that place. Some said that they wanted to find jobs. If they moved away, it would not be convenient for them to find jobs. Another reason was that they were not able to afford the rent in that district. These are the 2 main reasons. There may be other reasons. And after the visit, together, I talked to Ms. Chen Yuen-han. I asked her whether she was stepping on a syringe. That was the fact. I know the concerns of the residents nearby, why there are such things there. Maybe because of work or because of living, they don't want to move away. From the point of view of street management, or from the point of view of humanitarian principles, the place is really not safe, is unhygienic. You need to cross several highways to reach that place. It's really not a good place to live. I don't know whether the departments know that they have these problems, therefore they say that. I know that many of them are CSSA recipients, and for one reason or another they want to stay there. I don't know whether the administration can help them. Say in particular, help them to find jobs, or help them to afford a kind of accommodation, sort of accommodation in district. As for Ferry Street, let me share with you some experience with regard to finding jobs. they are ethnic minorities. They rely on referrals by their fellow compatriots. We've got the ethnic minority leaders visited them. They asked those street sleepers whether they had jobs. By making referrals, it will be easier for the Nepalese to get jobs, and these fellow Nepalese are willing to help. They will visit the street sleepers again. Apart from our regular service, these are efforts that target at the needs of the street sleepers. As for whether they can afford renting accommodation. Now they want to live together with their friends. Now 3 Nepalese have jointly rented a unit. Say if one has $1,000, 3 together we have about $4,000 or so. Even if they have money to pay rent, they don't have money to pay deposits. They need to pay 2 months of deposits. On that occasion, the SWD provided the help. The SWD paid for the deposits, so the Nepalese can share a unit. Some also said that in an evening he couldn't sleep, and therefore he couldn't work in the morning or during daytime. Well, it's difficult for me to comment on individual cases, but our service may not be too appropriate for them. I think the departments can go the extra mile. If we understand their need, we can provide the help. Okay. I've just received a motion moved by Mr. Fernando Chang. We need a quorum in order to deal with the motion. Well, I'll allow members to ask questions first. Mr. Tony Chair. Thank you, Chairman. The street sleepers either have no homes or cannot go home even if they do have a home. We really need to help them. In order to provide help, we have to find the reasons first. Is it because of means or what? That he has to sleep in the street? I agree with members that the departments should do the analysis to find out the reasons. And according to the paper, help is also rendered to these people. I want to know more. Now that is compassionate housing. How many have applied so far? And how many have been helped successfully to get public housing? Do you have the numbers? And of course, there are others who failed, and I believe the SLBD will follow these cases up. So I just want to know more about this. The second question is this. There are charitable funds providing cash assistance to the street sleepers. How much, say in the past 3 years, have been given to help the street sleepers?
Thirdly, now in paragraph 3 of the document, the government is said to have subvented 5 singleton hostels, 5 temporary shelter. The Then there are 7 hostels that are self-financing, and the occupancy rate is said to be 81%, so it's not full utilization. And for the 7 hostels that are self-financing, what's the situation? Is there a shortage there? We thank Mr. Tony Chair for his questions. Now, first on compassionate rehousing. Now, there might be a community need or a medical need, then the person might not be able to meet the need himself, so the social worker conducts an assessment and then makes a recommendation to the housing department. Now, for the past 2 years, for those who were able to move into public housing under the compassionate rehousing arrangement, there are altogether 4,000 persons approximately. Now, every year there is a so-called quota, which in fact is just for reference, 2,000 per year. That number can be exceeded. Now, there are a number of factors affecting street sleepers. Some have families, but they can't go back there. Or some may live, may be former residents of public housing, but they have poor relationship with their family, so they moved out. So unless the household is broken up, we cannot apply the principles of compassionate rehousing. And housing is a very precious resource, and the housing department told us that it's for housing is basically these units are basically for families to apply to. I just want to know the number. Street sleepers who were able to move into public housing through the compassionate rehousing arrangement. Only 20 in the past 2 years. Now, as for singleton hostels, there are alternative arrangements. So I hope the administration can be more succinct in their replies. Now, can they reply answers in written form for my other questions? Next, Mr. Tam Yu Chung. Now, we are all sympathetic to the street sleepers. We hope the government can find ways to help them so that they don't have to be street sleepers anymore. But there can always be new street sleepers. It's a long-term general social issue. There are reasons that do not apply only to Hong Kong. There are street sleepers in Japan also when we visited that country. Now, as for major policies, now that is not really the issue. The government just has to be more proactive in helping them, and the officials have mentioned ways. Now, some say let them sleep under flyovers. Now, Ms. Chen Yuen-han proposed that the spots under flyover should be turned into public housing, and she was severely criticized. So the point is that it's not suitable location for human accommodation for those spots under flyovers. So maybe people can be advised or urged to leave those locations so that their conditions of living can be improved and the environment can be improved. So ways should be found or better ways should be found, or more effort should be expended to help them. motion by Dr. Fernando Cheung is quite okay. We all agree that we should find ways to help them on employment and accommodation and so on. Now, as for the Yamate issue, now I think we should respect the decisions of the district council. The government has already tried to do quite a lot. I think just the point is that we should be try to help these street sleepers. The district council has done a lot of work, and they've come to this decision, and we shouldn't just brush it aside. Pin Yuen is not here. 3 other members hope to ask questions for the second round. Actually 4. Any other for second round? If not, 2 minutes each, please, including the answers. Ann Cheng, she's not here. But Dr. Fernando Cheung. Thank you, Chairman. Now, on the street sleeping issue, it's quite complicated. Overall, it's a poverty issue. Mostly it's due to employment. As the chairman said, when he went on a visit, he found that some people couldn't afford housing in the area, so they had to work in the same area, so they slept on the streets. Some, of course, are drug users, some are rehabilitating from drugs, and some are alcohol abusers. They need rehabilitation service for the longer term. Some have family problems. Now, all these problems are involved. Some are structural problems, some are family-level problems. Now, whether it's the Salvation Army or SOCO, they receive some subventions. Now, the staff have the ability to follow up and help them resolve the issue, assuming they are able to, on structural matters such as housing and employment. Are there ways to really improve their condition? I think there really has to be a more comprehensive and integrated approach. So I am moving the motion for a comprehensive policy. Now, we've been discussing this issue for so long, so I hope there can be a motion, and Mr. Tam has agreed with me in that regard. We should urge the government to do more in this way. There are 2 other members, 2 minutes each, please. Yuen-han. Now, I heard from the SWD and the district office. Now, since May or June, the cases of complaint have been received at Legco. Mainly it's Yamate. So I think we should adopt a humanized approach to help these people. Now, the officers have said that we should take the extra step, and I think that's the point. Now, for those people who are special cases, now in Hong Kong we say any Hong Kong permanent resident should be able to find a place to live. So we should find proper housing for them. Now, if it's about employment and environment, then there should be more than one government department involved. I agree with Mr. Impok Him. They all have different reasons for street sleeping, so the cases should be dealt with carefully. We shouldn't just try to give them whatever they apply for. Now, even if they pool their resources together, the three of them couldn't afford accommodation. So we should be careful in our efforts. Now, I support this meeting being held because I think there should be a comprehensive policy. Now, it's not just Yamate. Now I belong to the Super FC now, so I know. Now, I want to emphasize one point. Now, when many people have difficulty in accommodation, the government should find some way to help them. Okay, next, last member to speak, Mr. Pok Him. Dr. Fernando Cheung has introduced such a motion. I agree that there should be a comprehensive policy, whether it's the SWD or the HAD. There should be a targeted policy. It's not simple to deal with these individual cases. I think the motion today will not be feasible today because we do not have a quorum. But even so, the government should consider formulating a comprehensive policy. But the street sleeper issue should not be the reason for a confrontation vis-à-vis the district council and the residents. Now, if the district council has proposed an arrangement, is there already a timetable for implementing it? Now, of course, there should be arrangement for the street sleepers. Ms. Ho? Now, at the district council, in early July, there was a meeting on the works and the street sleepers. I made a brief report, and the district council has approved that with help to the street sleepers, the work should begin at the end of the summer holidays. So we will continue to report to the district council on our progress. So that's the end of the second round. We have on our table the motion by Dr. Fernando Cheung. The Secretariat has reminded me that for handling motions, there must be sufficient quorum. And at a joint meeting, there should be 11, and we have only 7. So we are unable to go through this procedure. That's correct. So otherwise, we could have. I was going to extend the meeting for 15 minutes, but we do not have the quorum, so we can only take this so far. I hope the government has listened to the views of members, and hopefully they will step up the coordination among departments and consider whether there can be a policy for street sleepers, and also regarding the motion on our table, how better to deal with the matter. And some questions require written answers, so I hope that can be followed up by the administration. Dr. Fernando Cheung, now, can I have half a minute since the motion cannot be adopted?
Concerning the registration of street sleepers, your condition is that the street sleeper will have to stay in the same place 7 days in a row. I think you have excluded many street sleepers. I think the policy is try to reduce the number of street sleepers. That's the wrong approach. You should try to discover the problem. Don't put too many emphases on your forms or formalities. I hope the administration pay attention to that. Okay? AOB now. Anything under AOB? If not, then meeting adjourned. Thank you. Wish you a happy